Hey, folks, welcome to another Spooky Appalachia. So this week, I recently got a story, a really incredible story, a UFO story, from a fan, and it was so good. I pretty much dropped the story I was gonna do for this week to do this one. It was that good. I'll feature the one I was going to do this week, a little bit later on. But yeah, this was sent in by a fan named Tracy about an experience she had in Shawsville, Virginia, back in the 80s. I have lived in and around Christiansburg, Virginia, for most of my life. I moved away for about 15 years and lived in Florida. I live in Christiansburg now. This incident happened to me when I was around 12 years old. My family had just moved into a house in Shawsville, Virginia, in part of Shawsville called Allegheny. If you turn down the road where the old Meadowbrook nursing home was, it is now a library. But if you go about 4 miles, our house was near the river on the roadside. This would have been in 1987. I remember just starting school, and it was late September or early October. And I was awoken to lights shining in every window of the house we lived in, next to a cornfield that still had stalks up, and the grass was really high. I noticed this because I opened the bedroom window and it didn't have a screen in it. I put my head out the window and looked up at the sky, and all I could see was bright lights shining in my eyes. It was so close to the house that nothing could possibly get that close to the window. I noticed that the grass was not moving, nor were the corn stalks. Everything was dead silent. No crickets or anything. I ran into the living room and then into the kitchen to see light shining in every window. I ran back to the bedroom, and all I remember is looking up, trying to see what it was. My thoughts were a helicopter, but there's no way. A helicopter would not hover next to a house. Also, there was no noise or even wind. None of this made any sense to me. Shortly after, the next thing I remember is waking up and feeling really exhausted. I remember I felt so drained that I didn't even go to school the next day. I tried to figure out what this was, but had no explanation until I saw the Unsolved Mysteries episode that happened around the same time. I truly think this is connected. If you hadn't seen the Unsolved Mysteries episode, this also took place in 1987 in Shawsville, Virginia. I have often wondered what it was I had seen and had been reluctant to tell my story because some people would laugh about it. I'm an honest person. I've never even gotten a parking ticket. I just wanted to see what other people thought, or if they had seen anything like this during that time. I have not seen anything like it since. I find similarities in the other story that was featured that I mentioned before, because it had the bright light and the grass not moving. If you look up UFO sightings in Shawsville, Virginia in 1987, you'll find plenty of stories. Just wanted someone to share with. Thank you, Tracy. Wow, Tracy. Like I mentioned before, this was a pretty incredible story. I actually had a fishing hole somewhere near there. I mean, it wasn't in the 80s. I think it was the 90s. Anyways, I used to go fishing out in that same area. I was only there in the daytime, so eh. But I will say I had my first UFO sighting in Shawsville, Virginia as well, which is about 10 or so years after this sighting. I was out on a playground and I noticed a hovering object just kind of hanging out on top of a mountain right above a tree, and it had some kind of thing sticking out of it going into the tree, if that makes any sense. I told a classmate, and then we went and grabbed pretty much the whole class, and then the teachers. Everybody was baffled about it. Even the teachers, one of them ran and grabbed some binoculars and looked at it, and nobody could ever figure out what it was. I remember we went in after recess, and then I went to the bathroom or something and looked out the window, and it wasn't there. Pretty weird. I don't think it. I don't know. It wasn't at nighttime. I don't remember any lights, but who knows? I will say it did make me think of the Withville sightings in 1987. I don't think Withville. I'd have to look at a map. I don't have one up. Withville's not too awful far from Shawsville, maybe an hour. So it's a really good possibility. And there were, gosh, I think they told me at the UFO festival maybe 1,000 sightings. Who knows? Maybe it's the same thing. The big triangle-shaped UFO that they were seeing there. Really, really interesting story. Thank you for sending this in. I'm glad you found my channel, and hope you keep coming back. And same for all you guys watching this one. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let me know what you think in the comments about the story. I thought it was incredible. Hopefully we get some more like it. I like these little UFO ones like this, and hope we get some more. At this time, I would like to thank our people who make all this possible, our Patreons and our other supporters. Let's see here. Here they are. They're scrolling down there at the bottom, but a big thank you to our content creator Patreons, Werewolf Radar Podcast. It's a comedy podcast. Be sure and check them out. Scott, who's an author, his link's in the description, and our very own Jared King TV, link also in the description. Definitely check him out. He does stories as well. And remember, if you've got a story you want to send in, you can email it to spookyappalachia@gmail.com or use our Google form. The link is in the description. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, folks.